Welcome to Real Estate Talk, where we share everything about real estate and home life. Hey, thanks for tuning in to this week's show, and be sure to rate and subscribe to hear the latest episode. Well, hello everyone. Once again, it's Zelda with Real Estate Talk. Today you're in for a real treat because I have a really talented woman here that we're going to be talking to. I have Christy McCarthy in the house, and she owns a company called Interiors Revitalized. She is an awesome interior designer and stager. So she does a lot of staging for our agents in our company, and we want to talk to her about the value of staging your home. She comes all the way from Chicago, and she has a bachelor's degree in interior design from Harrington College of Design. So she moved here in 2006 and she started her company, and she prides herself on creating a design and a home staging company that's really budget friendly. And I have to admit it is. People think, gee, I'm going to stage my home and it's going to cost me an arm and a leg and maybe an ear or two. So it doesn't have to. I mean, it's not the least expensive thing in the world to do, but in terms of return on your investment, it's probably some of the best money you can spend. And if you've looked at our book, 14 Days to Sold, you'll notice that one of the 7 steps in our book is get your home staged. So, Christy, welcome to Real Estate Talk.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad you're here because this is one of my favorite things when I'm selling a house is to get it staged. The difference between the befores and afters, it just blows people away. They just can't imagine it. So what are some of the biggest mistakes you see in homes when people are selling their home and maybe before they stage it even? What are some of the biggest mistakes you see?
I would say, I guess, putting their own personal likes into the home. So if they're selecting materials or paint colors, it's really hard for people to get away from what they want to see, right, and separating themselves from it. So what we try to do is keep up with the trends of design. But transitional is the key word that I always use. You don't want to make it too modern or too traditional. Obviously, you have to lend the ideas to the actual home, but kind of that even Steven look, so everybody falls in love.
So how do you, I know there are times when I walk into home and it's like, this room is red and black, this one is teal and gold, this one is orange. How do you talk to your clients about, well, maybe we need to neutralize some of these colors?
Painter. We need a painter.
You just say, we need a painter. But it's like, I see that a lot.
Well, and we don't want a Crayola box. So, and people really aren't and it might be a Florida thing. I know when we moved down from Chicago, we used a lot of reds up there and, kind of warmer tones. But down here, and it's definitely the trend to go with cooler colors. You want it to feel fresh. And, going to websites, House is a big one, Pinterest. But if you even look at who doesn't love Pottery Barn or, West Elm, stores like that, you always want to try to emulate things like that because obviously, they're selling stuff. So, and you're selling a lifestyle. You want people to walk into the home and say, boy, I could enjoy this space. And people don't want move-in. They don't want to work on the home. They want move-in ready.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
So it's so important. And there's such good investments that you can make. Paint and floors are the 2 biggest improvements that you can make to a home. And it's hard to go into a home and say, oh boy, you need all new floors, but is there a way we can, put a Band-Aid on it? But paint is typically.
What's the Band-Aid for a floor? A rug?
Well, it depends on the floor, but
okay.
Sometimes it's a rug, and sometimes we consider everything, and that's why we obviously consider ourselves the professionals, because there's a big difference if you're selling an $80,000 condo or a multi-million-dollar home. We're not going to go into an $80,000 condo and say like, oh, let's put in some luxury vinyl. You'll get your return back on that. That's an awfully large investment. So carpet, again, going back to the trends, carpet's kind of out right now. So if we're suggesting carpet, typically it's in like bedrooms.
Now, speaking of carpet, I happen to like carpet, not in the whole house,
mm-hmm.
but like in bedrooms. Are you seeing anything like that? Or is it like, no, that's out, it's just tile and wood?
Mm-hmm. wood look anything is just all over the place right now. Even 20 by 20 porcelain tile is not really popular right now. The wood look anything is very popular. But from an investment standpoint, we're not wearing our interior design hat. We're wearing our home staging hat. We want you to get the full return. We want you to get the full return back out of anything, and that's why we tailor our suggestions. So if the carpet in the guest bedrooms are bad, then we would say replace it with carpet because it's the least expensive option.
Mm-hmm.
If it's an $80,000 condo, maybe we are suggesting carpet in the living room area. But people have really gotten away from that. If it's a higher end home, we'll even suggest pushing the wood look product into the master bedroom, and then maybe everything else carpet.
Yeah. And I would think that from what I see, I mean, flooring is the most expensive thing, but yet paint is the easiest thing to do to fix the house.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
by
interesting.
far.
Yeah. And just something as simple as pressure washing a house can make a world of a difference, just like on the sidewalk. And speaking of that, do you do design work, and we're talking staging, for exteriors?
We
and
do.
What do you do?
We're no landscape architects by any means, but it is the first impression. So a lot of times our suggestions, you hit the nail on the head with power washing. That just makes, you always want everything to feel like brand new. You don't want it to feel old. So lighting, maybe we need some new exterior lights to jazz it up.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe your mailbox looks like it's 100 years old and it needs some spray paint or something. And curb appeal, fresh mulch is typical. Just edging, just clean and crisp.
It's amazing what fresh mulch will do. I know that when I sold my home recently, it was suggested that I put some red mulch, and I'm thinking red mulch, but oh my gosh, I said, y'all are the professionals. And so I did that, and it just popped. It just looked so gorgeous.
New house numbers, fresh coat of paint on the front door, make that front door look inviting. And that really pulls people in. It makes it feel fresh.
It does. And people do. It's not like it was 6-7 years ago when people were like, I want to fix her up, or no, they don't. They want a move-in ready home. They don't want that anymore.
I always say it's because people don't have time anymore. Moms are working, dads are working, kids are going, in 100 different directions with sports or whatever. But everyone's tired and they don't want to, and they know the work involved with it. Like, wallpapers come back, but when you're selling your home, who wants to take down wallpaper? It could be a huge hassle. I mean, I've heard of some serious problems.
And that's also a very personal thing. It's a personal touch for wallpapers. Just to me, that's just like painting the room red or orange or purple. It's a personal thing. So unless you have the designer in there hand selecting in the luxury home market, I tell people stay away from wallpaper.
I will say a good grass cloth never hurt anybody.
Oh, that's back.
I do have a grass cloth addiction.
I love grass cloth. I love it. I put it in my house. The first house I owned, I put grass cloth in the living room, in the foyer. And here's something that people should pay attention to is, those little swatches they give you, you need to move it from room to room and see what the lighting's like, because what it looked like in the store and then when it went on the walls, it was two different things. I had to take it down immediately.
Oh, yeah. Well, even with that, paint samples, light can really play a huge part on what that paint's going to look like on your walls. But you can always order samples or put swatches up on the wall, or but that's a huge and compare them to different maybe shades on the color fan deck, and you'll start to see if it's pulling one way or another.
It's like I would take paint samples and I would paint like a poster board. And to a couple of poster boards, and in the same room, just because the way the windows were and the lighting, it just made it look like there were two different colors on the different walls. It was amazing how that happened.
It is, yeah.
It was like, do I do it or not? So tell me, I know that you're also an interior designer. So what's the difference between interior design and staging?
I think the biggest thing is interior design is about you. It's about you enjoying your home and what you want to come home and look at every day. And what's the budget, and if you're going to be in the home forever, let's spend some money. So a lot of times, cabinets and countertops, bathrooms and, knock it out of the park and enjoy it. I always like to think I had some crazy professor when I was in college, and it was more about what he wanted to create. It was his canvas and very talented. He was from, Sweden or somewhere, but very, very, very professional man. But I never agreed with that. And what artwork is my least favorite thing to pick out for people, because I don't know what you want to look at. I've got a crazy flamingo in my dining room, and I love coming home and looking at that. But home staging is basically budget friendly. We want to get the full return, and we want it to look like what everyone else wants to see.
And that's hard. That's hard for sellers to understand. Is this is not your taste? It's not supposed to be your taste. It's just a neutral thing, and that sometimes is very hard. As you know, we've had customers where they say, "I don't want these chairs. Take these chairs out and put something else in." And it's not about you liking them. It's about making this neutral and friendly for everybody.
Well, and even the best example is the wall collage with the family on there. If you're living in your home and we're doing interior design, let's put the family wherever you want it. But from a staging perspective, and I don't say remove all family pictures. I think a few here and there, in like bookcases, or just not all over the place. And if it's on the wall, typically I'll say remove it.
It's like not even in your own personal home. Sorry. I just moved after 30 years, and I have all these photographs of the family, and it's like, this is my forever home, although I said that about the last home, but I'm like, I don't want to put all the family pictures up there. I want my artwork up there, and I want to get new artwork, but I've delegated one spot to, okay, that can be the spot.
Yeah. Well, and we've got ours hiding in the master bedroom. So it's like 6 pictures and,
little cubby hole I found.
Exactly. It's not in everyone's taste.
Hope the kids don't, it's like, it's nothing personal, but it's personal.
Yeah, sorry kids.
Yeah, exactly. So, there's different types of staging. I know that sometimes people have their own furniture and they don't want to remove it. Or they can't remove it, or who knows what. And then other times it's a vacant home. And so tell us a little bit about that.
So we, not all stagers, kind of do it all, but we do.
Right. That's why I like y'all.
Thank you. But if you're living in your home, we'll go, it's basically like a staging consult typically, but we'll walk through your home and give you suggestions on what you could or should do to, improve it. And a lot of times, the typical decluttering or depersonalizing, blah, blah, blah. But, if you're moving far, far away, we don't suggest like, hey, let's go out and buy a whole bunch of stuff. If you're staying close, a lot of times it'll be like, run up to Target and get a new shower curtain, or, just things like that to make it maybe freshen up the space. Or if you've got an older looking sofa, maybe jazz it up with some new pillows or something like that. So always, again, budget friendly things that you can use in the future. Starburst or the sunburst mirrors I've got a addiction for with my grass cloth, but every home needs one, and you can always use that in your new home. So but that is just consulting, and then if you need hands-on, we can certainly do that. Sometimes more so recently than in previous years, but we've brought stuff in, so we'll just kind of charge a flat fee to bring in some accessories and jazz up the home.
So you're just kind of accenting what they already have.
Yeah,
it's exactly. Like, I know that you do that for my house. And it was funny because I remember one room I had a family room that was an empty room for most of the 30 years I lived there. And y'all came in, you put in a really nice a sofa and some chairs and a little coffee table, and it overlooked a pool. And when I had a pre-open house and had family and friends come, I had them go around and rate the rooms that were, all the rooms. And their favorite room in the house was the one that you staged completely. I mean, it's not like they didn't like the other rooms that you staged, but that was their favorite room. And that was the one room that you didn't use any of my pieces. We used all of your stuff. So, hey, there's a shout out for Christy and staging. It's like everybody loved that room. It's like it just, because it was comfortable. And it was totally not my taste. It was very, not that it wasn't comfortable, but it was like, it was very neutral. So it wasn't personal, but that's what people want.
Well, and that's what, so going back to the vacant staging, some people don't understand that concept, bringing things in and, but people have a really hard time visualizing what the space could do. And that's what we did for that living room, because it had an odd angle to it. So, and what we don't overstuff the house, but we bring just enough in to kind of tell the story. So here's where we put the sofa, here's the 2 chairs, and then people can walk in and be, again, I can enjoy this space. And it gives them a sense of space too.
True.
The only time we'll typically stage guest bedrooms is if they're small or awkward. So it would actually make the room feel bigger by bringing things in
Otherwise,
there.
people see it, they go, this is a little teeny room, it's too small.
Yeah, and if we're doing our job right, then it'll actually make the space feel larger.
So you mentioned if you do the guest room, what are the must-dos for those people who are wondering, do I stage the whole house, part of the house? What are the must-do rooms?
Must-do rooms are the spaces that you use all the time. So kitchen, if there's a kitchen nook, family room, master bedroom, and bathrooms. Those are, kind of the core of the home. Everyone is in their, family room every night. Obviously, master bedrooms are very important for buyers. Kitchen and bathrooms we always include just because there are a few accessories, but kitchen nook, like if there's a dining space, you need a dining space to show, okay, here's where I'm going to sit down and eat dinner. If you've got like a formal dining room or a formal living room, those are kind of secondary, although people are opting to spend, the money to include those. Our typical stagings are kind of everything but the guest bedrooms, but we're doing more and more guest bedrooms now.
Interesting.
I know.
But I've also seen you do these little, I don't know what this room is, and so you turn them into offices, and you don't even use much furniture, but they just look so inviting. It's like you want to have a home office when you see how they're staged.
Yeah. Well, and that's a very important point. If you've got an odd space, you don't want it empty, because people are going to be confused when they walk in, like, oh, what do I do with this? Like, make it a pantry, or by throwing like a simple writer's desk in there, it's like, oh, home office, ching, or even a kid's playroom. If it's in a kid-heavy area, hey, let's make it a fun kid space, and it takes the question out of people's minds, because they move too quickly to even.
And you mentioned a writer's table. I would imagine that you go into quite a few homes, and most people have this bulky, oversized furniture that just doesn't belong. It needs to be smaller. Do you see that a lot?
Well, and that's the difference between living in your home and staging. Obviously, we don't have, real computers or wires to look at. So we can cheat and get away with writer's desk. And it looks like it, hopefully fell out of a model home. But, from a design standpoint, if you've got, big old CPUs and things like that, and you're going to have wires, we need to figure out a better solution. So we're not looking at wires.
I gotcha. It's like I always see like the fake TVs on the wall, or so there are no wires. But you when you move into a home, you put the wire. You get the electrician to come in and put the wires behind the walls and stuff like that. So I guess so. I know that homes sell faster when a home is staged. Do we have any statistics on how much quicker those homes sell?
We do. So. According to, who is this? Probably Risa, 85% of the staged homes sold for 6 to 25% more than their neighbor's home. So again, it's all about the investment. And I would I think our own personal, I don't have, hard numbers or anything, but I would even think that the statistics would play additionally in our favor, because we have prided ourselves on being so budget friendly. We're our typical invoice for like vacant staging, actually bringing items into homes, is probably like $1,200, which is
big difference.
Big difference.
And that was one of the things when people talk to me about staging, I let them know, look, I recommend you. I just do, because I know that you're budget friendly, and to me, it doesn't matter if you're in the $1 million home or the $250,000 home. It's like you shouldn't have to spend an arm and a leg. A lot of stagers I know price it differently. They charge you a percentage of what the house is listed at or what it sells for. And I just think to myself, what does that have to do with staging your home?
Well, and the difference between them and us is they will stage the entire home, which is great, but we don't really care about guest bedrooms. If it's got 6 guest bedrooms, why do you need to stage it? It's just kind of it's an expense. And again, we're probably half of what they charge. We've got a 1 month minimum. We prorate daily, after the first month. So it doesn't get better than that. If you're, 2 days into that second month and you say, hey, we're all set, you get charged for those 2 days. So again, that goes back to just the minimal investment that you can get it out of it.
So that tells me for all of our audiences that are not necessarily here in where we're located, which is Jacksonville, Florida, but you could be anywhere in the country, shop for prices. All stagers are not the same.
Exactly.
And they all price it differently. So shop it.
Yeah.
It's like,
it's an investment. You shop, getting a paint job.
That's right. You shop your insurance, you shop around for cars. This is you shop houses.
Yeah. And too, check their portfolio. Different stagers have different styles.
So what are some questions you should ask a stager when you're looking to hire one?
Well, obviously, what does your pricing structure work? Do you have is it your inventory? A lot of people kind of go through rental companies, and then you've got, then you're kind of the middleman, in my opinion. But
so you actually have a warehouse filled with your stuff.
It's empty, thank gosh.
Oh,
we're doing something right.
It's empty. That's good. That's a good thing.
We do have a warehouse, but it's empty. But is it their items? You can ask what the style typically is, and then you listen to what that stager says. Well, we revolve it. What I typically say is we revolve it around your home. So if you've got some crazy red carpeting or some super dated kitchen, we need to bring in items to highlight or at least mellow out things in your home. If you've got a brand new home and, it's in, you just have to tailor it to the home because each home is different. An older ranch home is way different than, some St. John's fancy Nocatee house or, so just tailor it to the home. But other than that, I think it usually revolves around pricing, and you're going to get what you pay for. So you want a good looking product.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And getting what you pay for doesn't necessarily mean you have to pay the arm and the leg. You can.
No. If you want to go the gamut and you want the house full, and there's companies that do that, but you're going to pay exactly.
Pay for it. And you don't have to. We're saying you don't have to. You don't have to do those guest bedrooms unless it's a very small space or a very unusual space, because it's like you said at the beginning. People are visual. It's like I have this empty canvas of a home right now, and it's like, what do I need to do to soften it up and make it me?
Well, and know your market. If you're in a market that you don't have a whole lot of competition, and you're not going to be listed long, maybe you splurge and get the guest bedrooms done and try to get those higher offers. But if you're either a higher price point or you've got a bunch of competition and it might sit there for 3 months, maybe
then you stage the whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are some design trends that you're seeing? Are there new colors coming in or new designs coming in? What's in the future here?
What's in the future? If
Where's
only
that
I had a crystal ball. I know. What's been popular for the past ever is obviously grays and coastal color. Here in Jacksonville, it's coastal colors, so soft blues and bluish greens, and again, anything with gray from a staging standpoint, as much gray as you can stuff into a house. It's just,
and some grays are kind of taupey grays.
Oh, warm. Warm gray. So I always say it's kind of like a putty.
Yeah.
So you need to consider when you're thinking about paint colors, you need to consider, what are your floors? What are your kitchen cabinets or, countertops? You need to make sure that whatever shade you choose blends nicely with them. So, there's cool grays, which, are very fresh and modern, or there's warmer grays that can lend itself more, either one is kind of a win-win. They both go with an awful lot of colors, but as far as a kind of a pop of color, or if you want something with actual color, sofa, accent, things like that. I love a good navy. I just think that navy goes with anything.
Sure does. And I see a lot of kitchens, the cabinets, they're painted these beautiful navy tones, and they're gorgeous, or with even with gold handles, and I call it the bling. Gosh, it's just so elegant and pretty.
Yeah.
But I wonder how trendy it's going to be.
It's trendy.
So I was afraid to do that in my new home. I said, that might be too trendy, and it's going to go out of style.
That is a good, again, wearing a staging hat, I'm constantly, we put in concrete countertops because I was afraid of, whatever countertop material going out of style. So it's plain Jane. But
But you accessorize
use
it.
accessorize. Yeah, fancy canisters.
Well, I love how you stage kitchens. I mean, I'm always, whenever I go into a home that you've staged, I go first to the kitchen. You want to know why? I want to see those cookbooks. You always have a cookbook. And the last one was a dessert one. I said, oh, let me see here. And I'm always with my camera taking pictures of of some of the recipes in there. I love the cookbook. So it's just something simple like a cookbook on the countertop, but clean countertops, and a cookbook with some little a spatula or whatever. So
yeah. So from if you're living in your home, obviously it's different than vacant staging. But if you're living in your home and we're going through your kitchen, I usually say like picture day and after, keep it as clean as possible.
Yeah.
But there's typical things. You need some things in the kitchen or it's going to feel pretty blah. So cutesy little canisters, or everyone's got a knife block or utensil holder. Everyone's got a coffee pot, especially fancy Keurig. So those things are totally fine. For pictures, at least if you use that toaster oven daily, put it in the pantry for pictures. And then after that, you got to live in your home a little bit.
Yes, you do. And that's the hardest part when you're living in your home and you're trying to sell it and you're trying to keep it clean and keep all the staging things right. So it's a very, very difficult thing. It's probably one of the stressful things about selling a home, but it's so worth it when you get that larger return on your investment.
You're exactly right. Mm-hmm. And it is painful, but if you do as much as possible, up front, then you're not going to be listed for as long.
That's right. So you get that out of the way.
Yeah.
So tell our audience, how can they reach you if they have more questions about staging or design work? Because I'm telling y'all, she's awesome. So how do they reach you?
Okay. So we've got a great website, www.interiorsrevitalized.com. We've got a portfolio page on there, testimonials, about us. We, talk about the team. We've got some good vendors on there. If you're local to Jacksonville, all sorts of good stuff. And then we've got a great Facebook page, so you can always follow us, and we're always putting kind of trends or current projects that we're working on.
And that Facebook is Interiors
Revitalized.
Okay.
Yep. And again, a good place if you're trying to do some stuff on your own, go through and look at our pictures, because you might get cutesy ideas on what to do in your kitchen or bathrooms. Just clean and simple. And we're always putting like design blogs and things like that, even giveaways. So Facebook, Instagram, get Interiors Revitalized. You can always, if you've got a specific question, feel free to call us. I'm never afraid to, answer any questions that you might have, even if it's like, Christy, what's the most popular paint color right now? Okay, Revere Pewter. That's my favorite. But
Revere Pewter, you heard it here first.
Yeah.
I guess my agreeable gray is out.
No, that's everywhere too. Yeah, no, it's they're both great colors, clean and simple. But
that's right.
Those ways and. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, and if you forget how to find her for some reason, just keep listening to our podcast, Real Estate Talk, or give me a shout out. It's also in my book, 14 Days to Sold, tells you all about staging, what you can expect on before and after. So until next week, this is Zelda with Real Estate Talk.